So, good afternoon and welcome to the second session for today on PHCL 102, which, Problems of Philosophy City Campus. It's still our first semester of 2023-2022. We just had a first group session, and this is the second one for your records, okay? We are discussing mind-body problem again. This time, putting content to what we got introduced to in the class. We go to all the way through to discussions on idealism, the reality of a thing. Is it how we see it, or the thing has its own? Talking about an empirical object, does it have its own reality, regardless of how we see it? So the W I wrote in class and asked that if you were standing at the head portion, do you call it W or not? Someone will call it M, another will say W. And we don't know who's right and who's wrong because it's a perspective matter. And yet we say the perspective cannot also determine what the thing is. How I see him may not be who he is or who she is or what it is and stuff like that. So we are going to get there from next week and the week after, building on this foundation that we are going to start today. Okay, so the reality versus appearance discussion will be preceded by the question of idealism, the idea of the thing or the thing itself, okay, which will be preceded by what we have. It's a chain work. And so we have to know where we are going to and why we are engaged. So today's discussion is a mind-body problem, which you got introduced to, and I want us to start immediately, okay? So the task is to engage you on what the mind-body problem entails, show you the source or genesis of that problem, and the source or genesis is dualism of a certain kind, the official doctrine kind of dualism. Then we'll look at responses for it. And my dear Titi says she will read for us. So Titi can do as the honors now. Please go ahead.
Thank you, madam. If mind and body are the two ultimate realities and are essentially distinct, then how are they causally connected?
Okay, so the word is how are they causally connected? Cause, from the word cause. And I want to, yes, and I want to stress that a bit more when we say, if it was just the matter of there are two realities, then that kind of dualism wouldn't have created the problem of mind and body. Okay, but when we say there are two realities, ultimately speaking, there are two realities, mind and matter, or mind and body. Matter is material, matter, M-A-T-T-E-R, matter. Well, if we just said that, then it shouldn't generate a problem. But if we go further, the point we wrote in class to say that these two realities are essentially distinct. And then we go further to add that these two essentially distinct realities, so they are causally connected, meaning one gives rise to the other, one gives birth to the other. It turns from one to the other. The things, those two things are essentially distinct, and yet you say it brought about. How can the crab give birth to a bird? Okoto on one, but you are telling us that Okoto has given birth to Anoma, and Anoma has given birth to Okoto. That is problematic. Now we can present it in religion, we can present it in culture, we can present it in politics, we can present it in scientific study and what have you. Okay. But we will learn the philosophical one. And then as we expand it, we can now apply it. But how can the perfect spiritual being, God is spirit, they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. I just quoted Bible, his spirit. Now, it is spirit and he has begotten us. Then how, you see why it's difficult for some to countenance the idea that you say God has a son and is a physical human being. The Jews tried to stone Jesus when he said that. I and my father are one. You are a human being. You call the creator being that we fear to even mention his name, God. Hello? You say he's your father? That's blasphemy. That's why they wanted to kill him, for them. That's how they because it's difficult. It's the mind-body problem at work. Currently, we know that if you're a Muslim, you will not call Christ the Son of God. No. You won't call him God either. Because Allah Akbar, one God. How did he have a son? With which woman? I'm trying to show you that it is the mind-body problem. It's a rendition of it. The challenge of how the Son of God became the Son of Man, and the Son of Man became the Son of God. You and I are supposedly sons of men. That is, I say you and I, if the person is a person of faith, who has attained sonship, Son of God. And Christ, who is supposed to be the Son of God, is also called the Son of Man. That's why it was possible to kill him. He has flesh. He eats. He felt hungry. He cried. He was sad that they rejected him because he took on not how. How? The question is how. How is spirit begotten flesh? And how is flesh begotten spirit? That is the question. If you render it in religion, you can do it in faith, you can do it in psychology. You see something physically to a person, and the thing gingers the person on to finish hard. Meow, 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 press on, press on, press on, meow, hurry up. You see, and then the person, all of a sudden, the person is psyched up, as a word, psyched, mental. But what you said was physical. You gave a flower and the person is so happy. You made a comment and it has changed the whole thing. Meanwhile, you made another comment and the guy is so depressed, he wants to commit suicide. Physical. Mental states have an impact on physical state and vice versa. But we thought these are two essentially distinct realities. Are they really essentially distinct? If they are, how then are they causally connected? You can. I said it in main campus sessions. I have 2 sessions of this class on main campus and the 2 at city campus. So some of the comments are there. When I remember, I want to share with you as well. I said one man on earth can cause a whole 2 nations to fight. Look at what is happening. Just by one physical state. If you like, just put out a flag and burn it, or take the Quran or something and burn it and see. It's physical action. You can see what it will ignite in people and mentally, the thought, the framework of people, and how it will cause a reaction. Mind and body interact. Meanwhile, if you bend the person's most important kente cloth, they may not even react to it, or they may say, "Hey, thank God that they didn't even kill me." But touch certain things. So it's a physical thing, yet its impact. So you hit your leg against the table now. I'm at the hospital, and it is pain you are feeling. I can see the pain. Excuse me. I can see your leg hitting the table, but I can't feel the pain you are feeling. If I also come to hit my leg against the table, I'll feel pain, maybe, but not the feeling of your pain. The way you were feeling your pain and the way I'm feeling my pain are not shared. It's private. This screen just tells you that it is dualism. And the official doctrine is that kind of dualism that assumes that the 2 ultimate realities, dual, 2, are essentially distinct. So we see that it is also called the official doctrine or the official view, which leads to the mind-body problem. When you say there are 2 things that are essentially distinct from each other, okay, and yet causally connected. The assumption that there are 2 realities that are essentially distinct is what we call the official doctrine, which leads to the problem of mind and body that I have highlighted on. I'm just going forward to tell you that I can see your leg hit the table because it's a physical state, it's a bodily state, mind, body, mind, matter. It's a material thing, matter, material. It has weight, it can occupy space, material, matter. So body is material. You can hold it, you can touch it, you can lock it. I can lock your physical body in a room and leave you alone there, Cinderella and the mother. I cannot lock your mind. Your mind can be at a party and picture everything and be happy. Oh, wow. You can see yourself a great king, a great queen mother, a great lady. In your mind, you will see the great big building you are putting, even in the prison door where your physical body has been locked up, because the physical body is public. Look on my screen, please. I'm speaking to the screen. It's public. Shared. That is what it means. I can slap your physical body. Why? Because it has weight. It can occupy space. It's material. It's corporal. It has extension. It's extended. Mind is not like that. That's why you can't arrest mind and tie it. Maybe the witches can do it in the witches' kingdom. How they do it is not physically. Okay. When you sleep, your body moves. I say your body, something moves around. Maybe in a dream or whatever, apparently. Well, the physicalists can have an explanation for that. They might say you overate, so the neurons in your brain turn this, and they can give you a scientific explanation. They say, okay, but it is difficult to give an explanation to why I can see the physical pain, your physical leg hitting it, but I can't sense your pain. I can't eat and make you feel satisfied. Hunger, satisfaction, happiness, joy, depression, give me anxiety. I can't share in your anxiety. We may all be anxious about a common thing, maybe an exam coming or the fear of COVID and its effect or what have you. But the feeling of the anxiety is private to me, privacy, because it's a mental state, says the one who believes that there are two entities, because others don't. They think it is one thing that can be scientifically explained. So the ultimate reality is one. We'll get there shortly. Okay. And so privacy. Look, the mind-body problem, I said the fear of COVID alone, fear, which is supposedly mental, not physical, can cause more havoc. It can even cause more death. If you hear that, hey, this my relative got it, when it happened earlier, when it occurred, the pandemic came earlier, you can just move, hey. You're rushing your baby or your brother or something, sister, mother to hospital because of COVID. If you are not careful, you will kill 30 people on the way. By the way, you do to go and save one. Also, the fear of the effect. So the mental state can cause physical repercussions, but both positive and negative, right? And vice versa. And that's what we are investigating. And some want to say that they are no different states, or they want to argue away the two states of being, mental state or and what physical state. Okay, so we are trying to show that there are ways in which there is a sense of this different distinctness between mental and what physical states. One of them is privacy. The mental is supposedly private, non-extended, non-corporeal. Those are the mind attributes. Whilst body is considered public, extended, and corporeal. Okay. And so John Searle makes our work even easier by adding some very easily accessible concepts like subjectivity, thought. When I'm sitting intentionality, and my intentions, it's a sense of purpose I have that I'm sitting in the class with. My thinking of my thought is not accessible to me. Thought, intentionality, consciousness. I cannot be conscious for you. Think about it. You are conscious of yourself, and I'm conscious of it. There's something that is private to you. Your being is yours, and mine is mine. I can't have yours. I can't be for you. Okay, so these are all reminiscent. They seem to emphasize a certain sense of difference between the me that is sitting here in the body and the me that is what? Mental. If you got that and you have seen the scenarios I have tried to hatch, then we can now move on with the reading. And I see that Catherine wants to read, so her microphone is not off. And so, Kathy, please read the responses that have been given to the mind body problem. Please go ahead. If you are not ready to read and someone can read, please raise your hand. If someone else wants to read, just raise your hand and let's please very quickly. Abdul Rashid, go ahead. Kindly unmute first and then read for me.
Responses. Interactionism.
Yes.
Descartes. Occasionalism. Miliband.
Well done. It's
Pre-established
Malebranche.
harmony. Malebranche.
Yes.
Pre-established harmony.
Yeah.
Leibniz. Double aspect theory.
Okay, listen. So it's Leib. Don't worry. Okay, it's Leibniz. The E in that. The E is pronounced as A. A for apple because it is. I think it's German. So like Einstein. Einstein is spelled E-N. E-I-N. Like Heinz. Like Heineken. People say Heineken. No, it's Heineken. So it is Einstein. Leibniz. Okay, please go ahead.
Idealism. Berkeley. Materialism. Thomas Hobbes. Functionalist or deposition theory. Category mistake or linguistic problem. Right.
Very good.
Right, Gilbert.
You very good, Gilbert. So very good. Those are the responses. The way people have dealt with or try to. I don't like to say answer. When you do philosophy, you don't use that word often. You are answering a question as if Agbena, like you are done. No, it's a joke. Philosophical questions are, fundamental and they are well thought out. So the responses are not oftentimes the ones that come to dismiss something. That's why we don't like to say answer. The answer that Descartes gave. He didn't give an answer. Descartes proposed the response to the mind-body problem that he's claimed to have brought about. People accuse him of being the source of the mind-body problem, okay, because of his proposal of a dual reality opposed to each other. Okay, he said that there's a duality from his cogito ergo sum. He gets to the existence of two ultimate realities, mind and matter. So they accuse him of it, and he himself proposed a response, which Samira just read. Samira says it's called interactionism. What is that? They can't say, oh, you want to know how they are causally connected? Oh, no, don't worry yourself. Just look at the pineal gland. And that one, you will find it in the brain. The singular part of the brain. Every part of, I think the brain has two parts, except the pineal gland, where people lay hands. When people lay hands on the forehead, they are trying to get access to your pineal gland. Yeah, and power contact, spiritual and physical intercourse is going on there, supposedly. So if the person wants to drain you, they put their head there. If they want to give you power, they put their hand there. They also believe in scripture, Bible scripture. Paul tells Timothy, don't be in a hurry to lay hands on people. And don't be in a hurry to let people lay hands on you. People like hand laying. Everywhere, lay hands on me. Lay hands. They say we should be careful. Okay. Those who do the Eastern religions, the chakras, they tell you that place is the crown chakra. So you shouldn't allow people to put it. Even some people, they don't shake hands. I don't want to say things but you can ask. They won't shake your hand. Look at our kings and our chiefs. How many people shake a king's hand or a chief's hand? Queen Elizabeth, do you ever shake? She's always in gloves. Because of the implications, they believe that these are access points to the being. Now, let's roll back quickly to Descartes now. Descartes says he believes that the interaction, that's why his view is called interactionism, the interaction between mind and body occurs in the pineal gland. But we didn't ask Descartes where the interaction occurs. We asked him how do they causally affect each other? How? Because we don't think it is possible. It is like water and oil. They don't mix. One sits on top of the other, vice versa. So how it is that he is proposing that they have mixed thoroughly, such that even water can give birth to oil and oil can give birth to water, is what we are contending over. How? Then he's giving us an answer that tells us where to find it. the causal connection. You see, there is a total deviation in the exam question. So we tell Descartes his interactionism doesn't help us. Then occasionalism by Malebranche. What does he say? He says, oh, this mind and body cause and effect connection between them that you are talking about. It is not a cause and effect thing. It's not one bringing about the other. They just happen at the same time. But how? On the occasion, when I have a physical state, if my leg hits the chair, on that occasion that my leg hit the chair, then God put the sensation of pain, which is mental, in me. So it is not my leg hitting the pain that caused it. Someone or an entity, when you read around, you see, John from the first group said, look, I read, and we said that God is the true source of all reality, or something like that, or all sensation. I said, that's what they mean. You don't have any, like your leg hit the table and then it caused pain. He said, no, it didn't cause it. Causation is the issue. He says it is put there on that occasion. That is why for another person, when they hit their leg against the table, God could put joy there. You will not feel the pain. Stephen was being stoned. When I was finished the earlier class, I said that Stephen in the Bible, he was being stoned and he was looking up and smiling. Have you seen someone being stoned and smiling? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were being put into fire. They were smiling. God, meanwhile, you too small warm water you are boiling for Lipton, that small splash back dropped on him. You have been shouting now because at that time when the water spilled, God put pain. He wants you to experience pain. Another time when they showed you the flower, you were smiling. The next time when they showed you flower, Johnny showed you the flower. Then you got angry. So the point is the mental states and the physical states are not causally affecting each other. I'm trying to put some drama around explaining occasionalism to you. So the reason why they call it occasionalism is saying that it's not a cause and effect relation, no, between mental states and physical states. It's rather on the occasion of a physical state, for example, an accompanying mental state is put there on that occasion by God. I say, hey, then God is busy on earth. Go look at the number of people on earth. 1 minute I slap people, he puts pain. The next minute I slap, he comes to put joy. At the same time, someone who is climbing trotro and the dress got stuck and pulled her off and she has fallen down. She said, Aji, because she experienced pain. So God is putting pain there. Someone is experiencing joy. Now, hey, oh, this number of people on earth, well, before you tell someone that the thing looks stupid, check. Maybe it is too simplistic for your small mind. For your small mind to grab. It might not be that stupid. You need time to grab it. Okay. So that's occasionalism. In the other recording, which I'll share to the whole site, I've even over elaborated a bit more with more examples. So the point is on the occasion of that physical state, then an accompanying mental state is put there. That is why your leg hit it and you felt the pain. Now, pre-established harmony is the third one by Leibniz. Check the authors who said what, because it will matter. Pre-established harmony is also saying that the mind-body problem may not be a problem of cause and effect. It's not one causing the other. This one too is not on the occasion of a mental effect. No. Then you put a physical one. No. Pre-established harmony, look at the word pre-established, already done. So the harmonious relationship that occurs between my leg hitting the table and my feeling pain, he says, is already pre-established. He's done, it has been done there. That is why whenever you get, you step on, let's say, a needle or something, you feel pain. They are an accompanying pair. The two happen at the same time because that is how they have been programmed to occur, you know immediately how you can critique that. Sometimes I step on some blister, you be trying something, you even feel that pain of the thing because you are in a hurry to meet a target. So your mind is when I was telling your colleagues, if you have to organize breakfast meal like this, for 4 children and get beat traffic and still meet the school's gate and come for a 7:30 lecture, I think it's a joke. Don't you see me? I say, you even see that something bent you. You even feel it. I'm telling you. Until the thing that took your attention is off, then you will see that I have a blister here. I got a sprain here. No, not a sprain, a scratch here. What at all? Sometimes the iron even bent you. It has left a mark. You didn't see it. You didn't feel it. Hey, why? Because at that time, your attention was on something else. Now, if it were so, the pain and the iron burn are supposed to happen at the same time. Why didn't I feel the pain when the iron burned me at that time? We are trying to critique the supposed pre-established harmony. Why is it that one time when Johnny brought me chocolate for Valentine, I was so happy because I was in the 100. Birthday. So Johnny, oh wow. Level 200, 300, he brought chocolate. At the gate, I said, hey, tell him that I'm not there. Why am I angry now? Because I feel that, Johnny, so 200 chocolate, 300 chocolate, first semester chocolate, second semester chocolate, 300. You can change it a little. Me buy me a car, or let me see. The reaction has changed. If it is pre-established harmony, why is the person feeling something contrary when the same, if you like, physicals, we are trying to query if they were supposed to happen at the same time all the time? Why don't we have the same reaction? Maybe you can think around it and see if we have made some good query. Then we have double aspect theory by Spinoza. And he says, don't worry your heads about trying to understand mind-body problem. Why? Because mind and body are or could be just two aspects of an ultimate reality that we can't fathom. We can't grasp the true nature of that reality. We only know aspects of that reality. That reality may have about 300 million thousand aspects of itself. How would you then be able to see the causal connection between two? They may be double aspects. You see, I use that to tell students a lot of things. God, as we know it in the Christian version, he can answer by fire, like he did with Elijah. He can answer. I mean, Jesus is described the Lion of the tribe of Judah, lion. He will rise up like an eagle. Yes, Jesus is also described as a lamb who was led like a sheep to the slaughter. The lion has become a sheep, and sometimes is presented as a dove. You have to understand, he can be many things to many people. So if all you know, and I think I said that in class, if I didn't, I'm repeating, if all you know of him, all you know of that creator, the ultimate creator, is that he answers by fire. And so you think every time he must answer by fire, you'll be disappointed. He might have several aspects of his being, because his ultimate reality, and we are trying to talk about what ultimately exists, what is ultimately real. So there might be ultimate, various aspects to ultimate reality, and all we see is mind and matter. Spinoza says these are a double aspect of a reality that we can't unravel, or we are struggling to unravel. That is the double aspect here. I've given you the introductions to the responses like that. Okay, because I know the whole course is not mind body problem. Otherwise, we'll use week 1, double aspect theory. Then we study it week 2, idealism. Why? The problems in philosophy are more than mind body problem. So I can only show you a summary version of how some folks have reacted to it. If you are so keen or interested in trying to find out what at all was that man trying to say, You can go into your research and read around that. But get the reader that John and Freeman are working together to get for you. Get it and read so that you get a commentary on them. They are in the text, the compiled readings. Luckily for me, I don't have my original text but I've been able to trace the past ones and given to the copier guy so that you can all have access to it. You can engage it in and find some more readings on them if you want to have a more deeper understanding than the introductory. Okay, then we go to, so far what do we know? Interactionism, we query it. It talks about how, it doesn't give us. It talks about where, it doesn't give us the how. Occasionalism, on the occasion of the physical pain. We are told that God put practical is that. Then how do we attribute cause and effect? How do we blame people for this things? I slap you and then you say, I'm feeling pain. You say, oh, God didn't put joy into the slap I gave you. Oh, it should have made you feel the joy. How do you accuse me of? You will do free will and determinism to you, see, and the implications thereof on the occasion. The person is doing things that can go bad for us as a nation, as a couple, as a church, as a home. Then he said, don't worry, let God decide the effect. Usually, let me keep doing, because it's God that will cause the effect. He has taken knife, he's cutting somebody's child's leg off, or he's doing these bad things that are happening. He said, don't worry, God is the ultimate. Look at the implications on human society. So you can think around that. Then the pre-established harmony, we have already critiqued that double aspect. And idealism would say that they don't have two realities after all. Only one thing ultimately exists. Remember, we are doing philosophy, and these questions are metaphysical. Okay. The metaphysical kinds of questions. Topic 1 is dealing with metaphysics. What really exists? And that has generated the mind-body problem. Someone says two things ultimately exist, mind and body. Well, the idealist says it's not two things that ultimately exist. So that viewpoint by Berkeley, here again, you see it's spelled B-E-R, but it's an English word. So it's like you are saying back to back, dog, whoa, whoa. So Berkeley, Bishop George Berkeley was a Catholic bishop, I think. I don't know if it's Catholic or Anglican. I'll check. I was a bishop. Okay, he says the reality is not true. If you think that sounds like strange, there are faith. Those of us who are people of faith of different religions, we know that the world and everything in it, this physical world and everything is passing away. What really exists is spiritual. Nothing is physical. That did not emanate from the spiritual. We know that. But before it happens in the physical, it would have already been hatched in the spiritual. In fact, some would say before you hear that someone is dead, they know they die in the spiritual, because the time in the spiritual is faster than time in the physical. You may even have a scientific explanation to that. Those who are working with a time machine and are going into the past and are going into the future and all that, what are they doing? They can go into the future and come and tell you, if we continue in the path we are going, at least we hear that. The population in the next 50 years, when you go into the future, there were only 3 people left on earth. Everything was destroyed. Some say that is witchcraft. The prophetic folks, they will say, I have gone to your hometown. Meanwhile, the person they are standing in front of is 100 years, 70 years, or 80 years, and the boy standing there is 23 years. When were you born at Uko hometown? It is not it's not the physical body talking. Okay. So people believe that there are 2 ultimate realities, but some say no. Everything is either ultimately materialism. I don't like the Thomas Hobbes there. I have to change it. It has this Thomas Hobbes here for materialism is a social and political thing. I think I just did cut and paste. I didn't look at it. Social and political. The materialist that we can reference in this discussion for metaphysics, we can talk about those that have empiricist orientation. Russell sounds a bit materialist, but he tries to play the devil's advocate. Materialists say that what ultimately exists is matter, physical substance, if you like, material substance, not mind, not mental substance, spirit, soul, whatever. Okay. While the idealist, like Berkeley, says one thing ultimately exists. That one thing is mind and its idea. The functionalists or disposition theorists think that this mind-body problem thing is not a problem. It's just a confusion. And so I put Ryle there. I try to make Gilbert Ryle a functionalist or a disposition theorist, kind of, even though his heartbeat was really about the language of the mind-body problem. We'll get there. He says, functionalists are saying that the body functioning in a certain way is what has been confused to mean the body and something else. It is the body feeling hungry. The body, a human being, the body, mind-body problem. So the body feeling pain. Why do you think pain is another thing? Okay, so it is not another substance. Sister, read this for me and then I can get someone else to read. Samira, who else will want to read? Quickly, very quickly, please.
Okay. Solving or nullifying the problem, giving a metaphysical response or approaching from an analytic into bracket language perspective. Ryle's concern is with the substance talk. Gilbert Ryle thinks mind is not another thing or substance. Mind is a function or disposition of matter. So use the right language, ask the right question, and there won't be a mind-body problem after all.
Very good. Now listen. So this is the point I'm making. He's saying that if body is feeling hungry, and that's and I'm tying the Ryle concern. Ryle's concern is with the language, but I tie it in with the mind-body, with the disposition theory and the functionalist theory. The function of a thing or the disposition of a thing, it is disposed to feeling hungry. The stone doesn't feel hungry, it doesn't have a disposition of hunger, pain, suffering, joy, because it is a stone. It is human beings that are disposed to being depressed, joyful, what have you. Don't now say, therefore, that human beings have another thing inside them that is responsible for feeling hungry, joyful, what have you. He says that is the problem. It is the way we are speaking. We're making it look as if the body that is feeling hungry is different from the hungry that the body is feeling. So you are creating an entity, a thing, a substance to represent the mental state. And he says, why? So Ryle captures it even more verbatim and says, it is a linguistic problem, language problem. The way we are talking is what is making it look as if there are two entities or two substances or two things ultimately. There aren't. There's only one. Of course, he's not doing metaphysics. He's doing language. So he just does the analysis. You can draw your conclusion. Where is the University of Ghana? Then I take you to the library on UG campus. I show you the hostels, the halls. I show you the lecture halls. I show you the dean. Then you say, yes, I've seen all this, but where is the university? What else should I show you? If you see this, that's what that's the University of Ghana. He said, but these are schools. This is the lecture hall. This is the what else do we have? This is the post office there. That is this. That is this. I point to her. I said, I've seen all that, but I was thinking that you would show me the University of Ghana. The collective, everything put together is what we call the University of Ghana. So if I show you the things I've shown you University of Ghana. Jesus told the disciples, if you see me, you have seen the Father. What else do you want to see? I'm the one. I'm my Father, I want. Hey. And then people take stories after him. But they can't grab it. So Ryle says, if you see the library, the general office, the registry, the lecture halls, marker, table, students saying hi, passing by, all of it put together, that's what we call the University of Ghana. When you finish seeing all that and you still ask, so where is the University of Ghana? The question you are asking is the problem. The same way when you see the human person, the pain she feels, the joy, the happiness, the one that has been labeled as a mental substance. He says it is not a substance. The whole thing is the substance talk. That's what Madame just read. That is what is generating the supposed problem of how mind and body are causally connected. Causally connected, it's just a disposition that body finds itself in, or a function that body finds itself operating in. So correct the language, says the linguist. He's an analytic thinker, Gilbert Rye. Says correct the language and you will see that there will be nothing left of the supposed mind-body problem. I would want to have, thank you so much, Amira. Let me have someone else read. We are done. Just some few pointers and then I'll wrap up. Anybody else? Very quickly, please. If you make your thing too lengthy, you have a lot of work to do. We've done an hour already. So anybody? Thank you, Solomon. Please go ahead.
Okay. Idealism.
Yes, sir.
A monist metaphysical view of reality that denies matter as opposed to mind. Idealists hold that ultimate reality is solely mind and ideas, that all things are reducible to mind and ideas.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. So you have already heard me talk about idealism, but here I was trying to mop it up nicely for you because we are going to take just idealism and open it out and thrash it. We'll beat it out till it opens out all the apps because we need clarity on that. A lot of our life decisions are around us. A mother says, a disgruntled mother says to the police, my son has never been known to be a thief. So he's not a thief. He's not a thief. You can't take my son. Oh, sir. That's an idealist talk. Not known to be, therefore he's not. That is a subjective idealist claim. You see that, where is it? From there on my screen. He has not been known to be. So he is not. Judas had not been known to be a betrayer until he did it. The fact that you don't know someone to be something or something to be something does not necessarily mean it is not. It may or may not be idealism. But the other side of it, when I started, I was saying, is this. How can I know knowledge, something that I have not experienced? You see, it's a difficulty. You don't want the person to impose their view of something onto the object. Yes. But how else can I know the person than how I have known him? So the thing is a dicey situation that cuts across. Look, when you are applying for a job in a company, that is what is going on. The company will say work experience. They will say probation. Do you know what probation is? We want to know him before. So you won't get all the entitlement until we get the contact, even after I've shown the experience. Work experience, it will still be on probation. Work experience, it means someone, you work for someone. Someone is the one testifying. We don't know. So come here, and sometimes probation for some people is 3 years. 3 years, no snitch, no nothing. You think we are talking table and chairs and idealism and this? We are talking actuality. We are just conceptualizing. When we finish and we put it into practice, you will see the point. So I'm saying that we are going to open out idealism itself as a discourse, another topic. Looking at the objective one, the subjectivist one, and the discussion we had last week, I was telling you, you are in an aeroplane, how you see the skyscraper on Earth, and if you are down there, so the high rise, look at monies that were found in people's homes in Ghana, middle class, we say, so third class, we say, whatever, indebted nation like that. I think we are the third in the world. Indebted nation. Look at monies that were found in people's homes. They don't even know that some have been taken off. It doesn't mean it was even stolen. It's not a matter of it being stolen or not. How can such a person, I'm just hazarding, feel for the one who is very hungry, looking for 10 Ghana? It is difficult to put yourself in the shoes of someone who has never ever felt torture before? Typical torture. When he hasn't felt it before, how can he solve torture people's problem? You see, you think about what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying sounds idealist. You haven't felt that kind of situation. Jesus had to leave the throne in heaven, at least from the Christian. I don't know the other religions. How I wish I even. So I try to listen to some. I try to listen to some so that I can get correlates, because you are speaking to a mixture of. But I can only speak to what I can testify. Idealism again. Easy. Listen, he had to do that so that he can feel our infirmities. Because if you are all polished, God, you haven't had a human feeling before. Those who know Bible say we have an advocate that feels our infirmity. He was tested in all that we have been tested. Pride of life, the eyes, the ears. He was tested in all betrayal, denial, rejection. He is helping them. They are killing him. So he can feel our infirmities. Why? It is talking about experience. The person must have gone through that. He must have known it. You should be familiar with it. He put on human flesh so that he can feel the human pain. Now, you see that is church. A moment ago, I was talking politics. This thing, that title you see there, it's not some come and learn this and go. No. It's for use everywhere. How can the bank manager or the SIM card company understand the psyche of the people when he hasn't gone or doesn't know their dynamics? If it is Christmas time, I may be Muslim. But if I'm a marketer, I must understand and put myself in the shoes of the people, and so on and so forth. Idealism, what is it then? It is so let me ask, I think our brother read it fine. So he said it is a monist view. Monist from the word mono, one. So you see that idealism is not a dualist view. Dualism means two things ultimately exist. Dual. When you hear dual, you're talking two. This is mono. So it means that the idealist is saying only one thing ultimately exists, just like the materialist, only one thing ultimately exists. But for the idealist, that one thing is mind. Mind as the what? The opposite of matter, not mind as another version of matter. So I want to explain. Sometimes authors, thinkers, philosophers would say that we have mind that is just another version of matter. It is a produce of matter. So porridge, I'm talking about morikuku and corn porridge, banku, yam, and fufu. These are African Ghanaian local dishes. Banku, porridge, yam, even rice. Look at how different in texture, in shape, in presentation they may be without the sauce, not add stew or anything. Just the raw, how different they are, and yet they are all essentially carbohydrate. They are sugars, they are glucoses or whatever. They are all carbo, starch. Essentially, they are starch. But if you look at them on the table, they are so different. Some say, I don't like rice. I like banku, as if they are different. When they enter, the essence, what they are going to do essentially are the same. So it means there are people who think of mind and matter as what? Essentially the same. So they are not different. It's just different representation of one thing. I want you to realize why it is important to explain what we mean when we say idealism well. If you don't do it well, you won't capture idealism. The idealist says what exists is mind. Mind as what? The opposite of matter. Something that is not matter. Because if you don't add that, there are some people who say what exists is mind, and in their heads, they are thinking of mind as something that is like matter. It is like it. So they think the mental state is the product of the brain. And so it is still physical. They can give a physicalist interpretation of what you are calling mental. Okay? So your brain reflexes and what have you is what produces the pain. So the pain is not anti body. It is still a version of the body. Those people are there. That is why you have to say that idealism claims that ultimate reality is mind as opposed to matter. That is idealism. So what does idealism say? The reality is one thing. Understand? One thing. What is it? It is mind. Mind as what? Mind as the opposite of matter. So it's not the mind that is the same as matter or another kind of matter. No. Mind that has nothing to do with matter. That is idealism. Mind and ideas. So that even if you think that the thing is material, the idealist says that material thing you see in now is ultimately reducible to mind. It will reduce and become what? Mind. So physical you and I, church folks, this body that we keep putting pawns and whatever on it, it is passing away. It will reduce to become spirit. Everything will become spiritual. This one, when it dies, you will bury it. It will burn. Some they burn it. What will be left essentially is the spiritual. Okay, that is the whole point for some people. So some, because of that, will not even take care of the body. That's also not good because the body is the container. But the essential, way it is reducible. You will reduce it ultimately to its original, which is what? Spirit. That is the point that we wanted you to make a note to. Very good. Can I have, sir, please, can you read this one too? To clarify some things we are done.
Okay. Note: rationalist and empiricist answer the question of knowledge. How do we know? Idealist and materialist answer the question of metaphysics. What really exists? Do you see why a philosopher can be idealist and yet rationalist? Others are idealist yet empiricist.
Very good question. See, rationalists and empiricists are they are answering a certain question. What is it? What do we know? How do we know what we know? So they are interested in the source of knowledge. Where did the knowledge come from? Where? How did we get it? Okay. The rationalist says we got it through the pure activity of the mind. Then empiricist says no, we use our senses. We either saw it, we heard it, we touched, we tasted, or we smelled. So if you have an empiricist-oriented investigation, you see that they'll go to the field, they'll go and measure things, they will take then fingerprints, they will take pictures. Why? Because they believe that through the empirical sources, they will be able to arrive at who killed, let's say, the MP, for example, MPJB Dankwa, like this, for example. Then I'm just giving a crude way of seeing what the debates are. The rationalists will say, what is important? Rationalists don't say all knowledge are sourced from the same. No, they say certain knowledge, some of them. They don't. I'm teaching rationalism too now to your level 300. It's a certain knowledge be why the senses cannot give it. It can't. Not all knowledge. The empiricist says every knowledge comes from the senses. The rationalist says no, not all. Some of them, so depending on which rationalist you are reading, you will get versions of it. Some of them we already know. We don't need to be told them. They are already imprinted in our raw material from the shop, from the manufacturer, sorry. Okay. So the human mind already has certain implanted truths in it, like thou shalt not kill indiscriminately. Don't kill another human being just like that by heart. He says no. Who told you that? I said, I don't need to be told. It's already part of what makes me human. Maybe the dog is barking. Why are you asking, why is the dog barking? Dogs bark. It is in their nature to bark. So if you ask, why do dogs bark? It's like a useless question. Human beings, rational human beings, already know that God exists. For example, for some, they already know that it is wrong to kill just by heart. They know. Even if society says from today onwards, you can kill anybody you meet, they already know, say certain rationalities. So certain truths like that, we source it before we experience. So prior to experiencing anything, we already know. I'm just showing you the two views and what they are responding to. They are responding to the question of knowledge. So rationalism on your screen now, please. Rationalism and empiricism are answering the question of how do we know? How do we know? Now, when you hear idealism and materialism, they are not answering the question of knowledge or tome. They are answering the question of what exists. What exists? The question of existence. What really exists? What really exists? Okay. So you see that idealists will say what really exists is not physical, it's mental, non-physical. Remember Plato, the theory of forms, theory of ideas? He says the physical things are not real. So beauty, the concept, the idea of beauty is the real thing. The beautiful phone is not real. It can be destroyed right now. The beautiful lady sitting by you, oh, Johnny Bravo can change the arrangement of her teeth. She'll become nasty, tattered, graphic. What's the expression? Ruffled lady. Because it is not real, it's physical. If it's physical, it can change, it can be destroyed. So it is not the reality. This, what I'm saying right now is Plato. I'm helping you see why the next slide is coming. Then we are done. That question is a question of what really exists. And so the idealist says what really exists is not physical. If you talk in church, what really exists is not the material world. This one is the non or immaterial world, the transcendent world, the spiritual world. That is more real than the physical world. Why? Because the world and everything in it is in constant flux. We are seeing it is changing to become something. What is stable, unchanging, fixed, etc., etc. This is all 102, PhD 102 philosophical questions. Just last semester, Plato. I've helped you remember. Okay. So idealism says the reality is not material. I said rationalism, empiricism, we're not talking about reality. We're talking about knowing, knowledge, how to know it. Idealism and materialism are talking about what? Reality, what is really there. Now, so the thought is, if you were idealist, you are saying that what is real is not physical, it's mind and it's idea, so mind. If you're materialist, you are saying reality is material, matter, mind body problem, mind matter problem. Just did it, material. So this ghost and dream and spirit and chanting and this and they are useless for the materialists. They are not real. Material things. Material, there's no soul or anything. What is important is to take care of your body, take care of your blah 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 blah. Yeah, I kind of because the real thing is the material. Now that you've gotten the difference between idealist, materialist, and then rationalist and empiricist, there is the likelihood that oftentimes, if someone is idealist, that means the person says what really exists is mental, spiritual, non-physical. Then how you know it will depend on mind. Obviously, because look at it. When I say obviously, I'm just building an argument. I'm not concluded. If the thing's reality is mental, then how you know it will be mental. Because the thing is not even material. If it's material, you want to either touch it, see it, hear it, touch it, or smell it to know. That's my point. So if it's a table, because it's material, you may think that the best way of knowing a table is using the five senses, the empirical. So that, see, the empiricist would easily be called materialist, while the rationalist would easily be called idealist. And that would have fitted fine. But lo and behold, on my screen now, if you are all there, I want to check if you are there. What is what is the title of my slide? I want a chorus answer. Maybe some people are chatting with Johnny Bravo. They are not following. What?
I didn't
your,
think it.
They are there. Hey, sister Nkwana, where is everybody?
I didn't think it.
Look, all these people on your screen are idealists. We see Plato there. We see John Locke down to your left. We see George Berkeley to your right, the bishop. But Plato is a rationalist. What does that mean? I want a response from you now. I've changed the slide. If I say Plato is a rationalist, what am I saying he is? Can you explain that? Somebody help me. Let me see. Whose hand is up? Loretta, thank you. Please, you're muted, so you will have to unmute first. Or if there's another hand, very quickly, please, so we can wrap up. Oh, anybody, if I say Plato is a rational, I just want to recap what we did earlier. Yeah. Anybody? Oh, don't bother to think. Oh.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I think that you can say Plato is an idealist and at the same time a rationalist.
Yes. So I mean, yes, sir. Sorry, please. I was just asking that. So if I say Plato is rationalist, can you explain what that means? If I say he's a rationalist, it means what? That's just that.
It means he believes that the mind is the ultimate source of knowledge.
Excellent. That's what I'm looking for. He believes that mind is the ultimate source of knowledge. Perfect. And his idealist, I'm building on it. His idealist means he believes that what is really there, what really exists, is mental, mind. In other words, it's not material. Okay, so that fits fine. If the ultimate source is mind and what really exists is also mind, then we think that he's okay, he's doing fine. His epistemology and his metaphysics coincide, they meet. But the challenge is the second set, those down there. They are not rationalists, the two of them there, those English thinkers. If you add Hume, then you will have the three British empiricists, John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume. The three of them are English empiricists. They are all empiricists. What does it mean to say that they are empiricists? So can you help us again? When we say they are empiricists.
Yes,
Yes.
they are empiricists because they believe that the ultimate source of knowledge is from the five senses.
Excellent. There again, it means they are saying that if we want to know knowledge source, we should source it from our five senses. Either we see it, we hear it, we touch it, we taste, or we smell. So we are so excited thinking that if they are empiricists, then they should naturally, from our inclination, they should say that reality then will be what? Material. Because we are looking for things we will see, hear, touch, taste, or smell to know them. If that thing really exists, it is because we know. How do we know? Oh, it says we know it through the five senses there. Then the assumption should have been that what we can know to be real. So the reality should have been what? The material sense. Amazingly, these folks down there are empiricists, but idealists. Really? Over. Especially George Berkeley, who is a consistent idealist, a strict empiricist, and yet idealist in his metaphysics. He's a bishop, so you should understand he will be defensive of the spiritual, the non-physical, so to speak. And so he says the real things are non-physical. But look at how he says we come to know the non-physical, which is real. He says we know it through the senses. I'm tempted to ask Bishop George Berkeley, what brush did God use to brush his teeth today? But you will see the argument, the beautiful, he's more consistent and empiricist. You will see, an idealist than John Locke. Later, John Locke is trying to eat his cake and have it. He's trying to play both sides. So he didn't end up being consistent. That is what we are going to delve a bit more into. I already told you that the idealism thing, properly understood and properly taught and integrated into the system, you will see its practical application all around us. So we will engage it. Two views of idealism. Objective idealism. On my screen, I'm wrapping up. Objective idealist position, subjective idealist position. Why we call it, or we label it, these are labels. Why will we label them as such? And why Bishop Berkeley will say, as for him, what is what is perceived. To be is to be perceived. Whatever is can only be if it is perceived. If that perception means sensed, experienced, okay, it's just the old brothel. If we have not seen, we don't touch. It doesn't even have to be he himself, but he advocated for that. He himself, subjective, he the subject. If the thing is not seen, it is not heard, it hasn't been tasted, it has not been touched, how can it exist? There has to be a knowing mind that is experiencing something for it to exist. Because he's an empiricist, and so we'll see. See the highlighted thing, to be is to be perceived. We'll launch into it a bit more for you to go and see how they vary, the known and the knower. Then John Locke, who tries to distinguish between two types of qualities in the hope that when it comes to shape, position, size, he will say that one doesn't depend on a knowing mind. If you don't know it, if there's nobody there seeing it, hearing it, touching it, tasting or smelling, still the shape of the envelope that they put the money inside for you, the shape will remain the same, rectangular. As for taste of the orange, says John Locke, the taste of the orange, dear, it will depend on who is tasting, or the sound of the radio, whether it's loud or low, depends on who is hearing, says John Locke. But when it comes to the texture, it depends on who. Okay, so texture, taste, sound, he thinks they are all secondary qualities. You see all those later. But he thinks there are others that are primary. That one, even if no one is watching, it will continue existing. He talks of the size, the shape, position, and so on. We will interrogate that together from both the perspective of Berkeley and our own perspective. Berkeley thinks you say lie. Every shape, every quality, whether shape, size, texture, taste, what have you, are all dependent on who is watching, who is counting. In class, we counted. I asked you who is on the third line, who is number 3. And depending on which direction you are counting from, you say, oh, it is Asimesi or Bente. Remember our class. Those who were not in class yet, I'm sorry. Come to class all the time. But those who were there can tell you. And you can even picture it yourself. If I wrote a W, when I started, I said that on the ground, and I stood at the tail end of it, I will see W, but the other person standing at the top will see M. We are talking size of an object or shape. It has become relative too. But we thought that for the envelope shape, it's not dependent on Nancy or what was the name of my friend who just went. Doesn't depend on Nancy or anybody, or Inchi or sorry, Sapo. Maybe the taste there. You see, dog there. She she says that the dog there. She thinks it tastes fine. But or dog says the perfume doesn't smell good. Has scent and nose to determine whether it smells good or bad. But shape and size, we thought it did it well. All have been dissolved into one by the argumentation of Berkeley, which Russell, the third discussion that we'll have, reality versus appearance, takes up. So those who have read ahead, you will see that that is the discussion that Bertrand Russell is doing. He's reconciling all the views and saying that we have to look, it is in the way the expression is being done, get there. Okay. But unless we God will see that we'll be doing that. Think about this thing on your screen very well. If you saw a tree falling over on a desert island, the desert here means deserted, nobody is there, no human being, and no one to do the sensing. There's no human being there. Can that tree make a sound? And can it have a color or a taste? And can it have size, shape, and motion? Someone saying, but this one, dog, how is it useful? The investigator who is investigating the death of someone, if there was no human being there, Nobody observed it. And they got just a CCTV camera which couldn't capture sound because the sound part of it was destroyed. It's only the picture. Can we tell the sound of the gun to determine whether it was a bazooka or it was a pistol? But there is no knowing mind doing the observation. We can reflect around that. These are practical matters. John Locke will say, oh, even if nobody was there, the size, the shape, and the motion of that incident, we can determine objectively without any doubt. But what we will struggle with is the sound, the color, or the taste, because color depends on who is seeing. Taste depends on who is tasting. For me, it's sweet. For you, it's bitter. What's the other one? Color for one, it is greenish brown. For the other person, it's brownish green. So he will say primary qualities. Who is this? John Locke. Have fixed objective realities, independent of a knowing mind. So whether we know it or we don't know it, whether we touch it or we don't see it or we don't smell it, it has its reality. But secondary qualities don't. How about Berkeley? If you ask Berkeley, he will tell you all qualities depend on a knowing mind. And that's Berkeley on your screen. We'll engage that and we'll see his argumentation for that. A bit intricate, but we'll simplify it by grace and experience. Go through his 5 proofs to set us off nicely for our friend Berkeley. Any questions? I'm done. Any questions? Loretta, hand shut up again. Loretta Paddy, please go ahead if it's a question, please. Meanwhile, let me end the record. Okay, Loretta, it has gone up again. So thank you all very much. I'm just ending the recording so that it will be properly wrapped up for your playbacks. But I'll take your questions afterwards. Wonderful session. All the best and take care. Okay, right. Loretta, so I've paused